Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Live every Wednesday at 8-ish p.m. We're brought to you by, hold it straight here, ERT Radio, courtesy of Ron over there at ERT Radio. Go to mixler.com, set up your accounts there, and then obviously follow ERT Radio, and then you're going to be able to listen to when we're rebroadcast Wednesdays at 11 o'clock too. You can listen to our show in case you missed it. Into the Outer Realms, Dimensions of the Supernatural, the shows that Ron puts on along with his music. So go to ERT Radio. That's at mixler.com. Go check it out. So, returning guest, John Russell. We had him on here. So we're going to be talking about kind of the stuff. I put it up there in the promo. That's just a fraction of what we're going to be talking about. It's like the difference between peraidolia and what you actually see up in the sky. The different things, stories that he's had of things that he's seen, as well as kind of how you can really determine, like, who's making it up, who's the real deal versus the fake. Because that's the problem now with all the AI created images. You can see some stuff that somebody show a picture. Look, I saw Godzilla on the skyline. I'm not really sure that's Godzilla so much as so much as an art project. So it's like, how do you determine what's real, what's not? So we'll be doing that. So John Russell, you can find him at johnrussell.net or johnrussellauthor.net. He's got several websites. You can go to amazon.com and pick up his books there. You can also get to a link through his website as well. That'll get there. So John Russell is next. We're going to be talking about things, faces and stuff that you see up in the sky. And that is right now.
Welcome to the Three Beards podcast. My name is Craig, along with Austin and Chris.
Passed to a new generation of Americans born in this century.
Let me out.
I'm afraid that is white.
Justice and honor in Massachusetts colony?
Right there. So we are back.
Yes,
and then Brian, Chris is out sick. So everybody, good healing thoughts towards him. He's been dealing with a bug that's been kind of going around work. So we got people dropping like flies at work. So, so knock on wood
it's not any of that 2024 cheer? That's
No, it's everybody. A couple of people were prior, and then Chris is, was kind of a little bit prior, and so it's just kind of everybody's just kind of falling down.
Herpes.
So, yeah, massive case of gonosyphilides rolling around.
Herpes. Yeah.
So it's. Yeah.
Well, it's good to know that the thank God the safety doctor's here. Maybe he can help Chris out.
Yeah, that's the safe doctor. Don't make out with strange doorknobs. That's a good rule of thumb. It's that. So hopefully, like everybody starts feeling better. It's like, it's just kind of 2024 has kind of started off with dealing with illnesses kind of around the thing. So get them out of the way so that way we can get going, because the rest of the stuff it's like a lot of good things I feel for the year, but it's just this is starting off kind of
it does suck.
It's what can we do? All right, so let's bring on the man here. John, how are you, sir?
Yes, welcome, John.
Hey guys, happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
To you. That's
happy
great.
New Year to all our listeners.
Mm-hmm.
And we can make this a good year. Talking about everybody being sick, I want to address that real quick before we go on.
Yep.
I have recommended over the years for decades now. I've recommended to my clients, recommended to other people. Get this book. Go to Amazon. Enter the title in the search box. Get this book, The Art of True Healing. And there is an exercise in there called the middle pillar exercise. It's real easy to do. It's non-sectarian. It's not hard to learn. And you can use this exercise to get the energy centers in your body activated, and then to cocoon yourself in that healing energy and use it to literally physically heal yourself. And I've recommended this to people, my clients over the years. One lady, long story, really, really short. A lady came to me and had, yeah, that's it right there. A lady came to me and she was under the care of the finest cancer doctor in the country, and he had sent her home with 2 weeks to live. And long story short, the other side told me it wasn't her time. And I told her, I said, look, if I'm right and you're going to live, wouldn't you rather live well than live sick? And she said yes. And so the other side gave me a specific regimen for her, utilizing the technique in that book. And long story short, she's alive and well decades later. When she went back to the doctor, he came in and sat down. She said, John, I'd give my teeth for you to have been there. She said he sat there and stared at me and didn't even say anything for a long time. I was like, well, and he said, I've run every test on you known to mankind. He said, not only do you not have cancer, you don't have any markers left in your body to indicate that you ever had cancer. So physical healing is possible using spiritual means. And everybody get that book. Use that as a prophylactic measure to maintain your health and to keep from getting sick. And if you are ill, use that to heal yourself physically.
Yeah. I think every individual is different. So every treatment is probably going to be different for a lot, but there are certain standards like the book that will probably teach you what you basically need. I mean, it'll up your odds in the long run.
Yeah,
I remember I went to
it's something that'll work for everybody. It's real simple. It's real easy, and it'll work for everybody. The key in everything, unfortunately, is persistence. So I always tell people, it's like, if you go to the gym and you want to bench press 100 pounds and all you can bench press is 30, you go to the gym 3 times a week, every week, and you work out, and then you get to where you can bench press 45 or 50, and then eventually 60, 75, so on and so forth. But if you quit going to the gym, you quit working out, you go back a couple of months later, oh, now I can't get that 60 pounds up. I can only get 40 up. So you regress. And it's the same thing with spiritual things.
Yeah, no, I went to the respiratory therapist about a year ago because of the heart attack. And it was like 2 months late anyhow. By the time you get into these things, especially in this state of Florida. And he's like, oh no, your respiratory is like 70% or whatever it was. First of all, I was having a bronchitis issue as well of it.
Right.
He goes, it's terrible. And I said, Doc, we're born, we live, we die. Some people do it quicker than others.
Right.
And he just stared at me like, what is wrong with you? But it's the truth. Right?
It is true. It is true. And, I've had clients that have used those techniques and recovered miraculously. I've had other clients that have used those techniques and gone on to their reward. So, maybe we do have that appointed time. I don't know, but
you want to make $1 billion? Teach people how to grow their hair.
Yeah, there you go.
Get a technique that grows hair back, and then, you'll be doing infomercials at 2 a.m, but the money will just keep coming in.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah, this is supplement talk on the Three Beards podcast. Yeah, no, I take a lot of gummy vitamins every morning too. I like vitamin C, zinc, all this stuff. Yeah.
What are you, 12?
Well, it's one of those things. So I could either look like I'm
right here.
Yeah, the whiskey.
Is that a single vitamin or a batch version?
90 proof vitamin.
Yeah.
There you go.
Double distilled vitamin W.
There you go.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things. It's like, I could either take all those pills and just swallow them, or I'm like, it's a handful. It just that Vitafusion. The other ones have the gummy version. I'm like, it's just easy. It's just chew, chew away. And like I said, So I'm sitting here chewing on my 12 gummy regimen every morning because of all the different types that I take. And it's just, I don't know. It's some people would say like, oh, that works. Other ones are just, I've got the most expensive pea in the world.
With those other things, what works for us individually? Because over the years, I've learned what works for my particular body and my particular thing. And I do things that would probably kill other people. No exaggeration, but it keeps me alive and well and going. So, we all are an experiment of one in that sense. But there are
beverage he's got in his hand.
Yeah, there are those common things like in the book, The Art of True Healing. There are those things that are applicable to everybody that everybody can use and get some good results with. And over the years, I've had, my clients get back to me and say, hey, this has worked for me. So let me encourage everybody to try that at least.
Definitely try it. I mean, pick it up. What can it hurt?
Yeah,
Laura, I can try that, but the problem is I like my job too much. And there's too high of a risk with CBD. They tell you there's no THC, but all it takes is that one time that they make the mistake and I get popped for a pee test. I have a CDL. There's zero tolerance. I mean, even with the whiskey, I have to be careful with menthol cough drops. I will fail my CDL test.
So you're a prime candidate for that book.
Yeah, and so it's
absolutely
CDL drivers. You have a 0.02. So anything over it. So basically, cough syrup, you'll fail.
Yeah.
If they give you a breathalyzer.
Yep.
I do vitamins every day, and a lot of different varieties, but each one it's purposeful. The B, the D, must have. Matter of fact, if more people there's a lot of people in the world that live below a certain parallel, and they're fine with the D factor.
Right.
When you're above that, Northeast, Pacific Northwest, the problem is D is so helpful for mental, abilities. It keeps you, positive, but it kills. The last virus that went through, if you took your D, your B, your C, you took zinc and quercetin, you'd have been fine. You may have gotten it, but let me tell you, it would have been nothing. I mean, like a headache, I don't feel well. And that's because most of the cases were north of a certain parallel. They don't have enough vitamin D in their body.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's one of those things too. It's just kind of wrap up the pot talk. It's just that's one of those things that really got to figure out as an intensity test, because we've talked about this several times. There's no reason why somebody can get absolutely plastered drunk on Friday and I smoke a joint, and then Monday morning I'm fired and they're driving their truck. Exactly. I go, we're both completely fine to drive, but mine's still in the system where theirs, all they've got at worst was a headache still on Sunday.
Right.
It's one of they've got to figure out the intensity part. Once they can get that, then it'll be a whole different ballgame. People can do it. But right now it's like, even though it's legal, like in Oregon, California, medical marijuana cards, it doesn't matter. It's CDL is a federal, thing. And so it's guidelined by that. So yeah, it's like you said, like California's not testing, but the problem is if you get popped for a DOT test, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. California has no control over that. If it's a DOT draw, you're
but
all right. Faces in the sky. So first off, I want to show one picture here of Laura. She posted that her and her husband saw this, and this is kind of like a prime example. Like show. Let's see here. Let's see if I can find where. Come on. There we go. I can learn how to operate my computer. Maybe I have taken something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe you have taken something. Indeed.
It's one of those things you can definitely see where they talk about they see an eye.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of one of those that's kind of I wanted it's not really like a black and white. There's definitely the ones that are clearly fake. There's the ones that are clearly peraidolia, and then there's the other ones that there's clearly something there. Now, do we think that that's really the eye of God looking down upon the roads? that's the thing, we don't know. But what it is it's a really interesting one where you can clearly see it define something that it definitely, if anybody looks at that, you're going to see something like that looks like an eye.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and so and that's where the thing is just, and then I don't, in a way, kind of let you address it. It's like, so how do you go for that? Because you'll get some people that'll say this is clearly a sign from God looking down upon us, and then you have the other ones like it's just really cool. I see an eye, something that looks like an eye up there. So
right.
how do you
can I show one before we get into it?
Yeah.
Just because we're going to give it. So this is the one I wanted to show you.
Kind of a face up there.
And you'll just take a good look at this one.
There's a face. All right. Y'all see that?
Do you see it?
I don't
now
see
that's
it.
the face, people. It's up there again.
Sherry, come look at this.
It's up there again. There's the face. This is not an app. It's a face. Everybody's out here.
I don't know.
Everybody's out
I'm
here.
not a believer in that.
I'm out here to see. But if I got to get this.
There's no reason to, I mean, even when you look up, you can see there's something there
That's
besides.
Crazy. Now, hold up.
Oh, now I see it. Yeah.
So everybody can see it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm
zoom on.
Like I said, my gut feeling right now is that's something that was, it was designed for the clicks.
Now y'all see this? You see it, right?
Well, I could cut it down, but
that's nice.
Those, it's the moon.
Hey, somebody got another phone?
Yeah.
I don't want to be the only one recording this.
And he does go for the other phones. You get double the action, but you can see, the other phone's recording right there as well.
Gotta get this.
So it's not like
we're all out here. We're just out here looking. There's a dog. Even the dog's trip.
That's basically it. I don't want to.
The problem we have, you were addressing this issue earlier of AI, and we have a lot of phony, quote unquote, paranormal events that are supposedly filmed and put up like on YouTube and things like that. And if anybody was watching TV here a few weeks back and saw the Anderson Cooper special on AI, it's indistinguishable from reality now, because they had a kid that was they got this kid from the Ukraine that's over here in the US now, and he's like, I don't know, he's a teenager, early 20s, and in a week's time he developed this segment for the Anderson Cooper special where he had Anderson Cooper's face, body, gestures, his voice, and everything saying what they wanted him to say. And it was absolutely, completely indistinguishable from the real Anderson Cooper. And they switched back and forth between the AI and the real Cooper in the show. And it was just mind blowing. So that's one of the things that we're going to have to watch out for and be careful with. Now, having said that, there are a lot of things, and of course, they were able to fake things back in the era of film, in the early days of film. There's all kinds of fake ghost photographs and everything else, so on and so forth. So that's been going on the whole time. So all that means for us is that we have to know our sources. We have to know what's going on. We can't automatically assign veracity to anything just because it looks real. So it just means that in this day and time of AI, we have to be more and more and more careful. In addressing what I've photographed, what I've discovered over the years, I've had way over 1,000 paranormal experiences in my lifetime. These have manifested on the physical realm. A lot of times they've been witnessed by other people. So there's the eyewitness veracity. A lot of times we've caught them on film, we've caught them on camera, we've caught them on audio. So these are things that have happened that are real. And then, of course, you've got people that say, okay, there's Nicholas. Hey, dude.
I got his Christmas card. It was great.
I got his Christmas card today. I just told him, I sent him on Facebook. I said, I just got your Christmas card today in the mail.
Yeah, that's what he was
Yes.
saying. You two were on the Christmas list. Apparently, I was naughty. I don't know.
So now that's
So,
Dirty Phil.
so anyways,
So
Yeah.
the
SOR.
yeah.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
thanks.
anyways,
Nicholas, appreciate you tuning in, man.
getting
Have fun at
these.
work. But yeah, did you see that thing? What Laura was talking about, where as soon as that showed up, that the radio started playing in their car.
Oh, show it again.
Yeah, it's let's see, get the bring up to where'd you put it? Where? All right, come on. But basically, she's saying the radio hadn't played for years when we saw the eye, and then boom, it came on, and it's worked since.
Yeah. So that goes back to the and again, what I was saying about what I've captured over the years, and there are things that are absolute positive proof, evidence that these beings exist, that they do manifest in the sky and in the clouds. I remember I saw these specials about the Native Americans talking about the sky people and their interaction with the sky people. They weren't talking necessarily about extraterrestrials. They were literally talking about spirit beings in the sky. And I remember this one instance where this guy told about his father, and they were all sitting around the stove in their house, a metal stove. And it was a clear day, blue skies, no wind, no storms, no clouds visible forever and a day. And this bolt of lightning came out of the blue, hit this pipe on the stove, traveled down that, came out the stove, went into their father and killed him. And I remember the guy said the sky people wanted him. The sky people took him. So we have a lot of evidence for these beings in the sky. And I've been aware of that. I've been aware of the myth, the lore surrounding that for a long time. But I'm a professional photographer and also a fine artist. And I became very serious with my camera work for a long period of time. And I have good quality 35 millimeter cameras and good quality lenses. And one of the things I got obsessed with doing, and I don't know why, but I developed this obsession with shooting into the sun. Now, you're not supposed to do that because it'll burn out the sensor in your digital camera. And it's also not really good for your eyes. And I did manage to burn the lens out in my right eye. I got a cataract in there and was literally going blind till I had cataract surgery. And thank God I can see again. But it was a result of looking through the viewfinder of my camera and shooting straight into the sun. And I did that repeatedly. And I don't know why I developed that obsession until I started downloading and developing some of the photographs that I had taken shooting into the sun. And in one of these photographs, it literally made me kind of jump back from my computer a little bit when I uploaded it and saw what was in it. In that photograph that we had previously, the eye was shaped by the cloud. You could clearly see an eye, but it was shaped by the cloud. And in the promo that you put up, there was a face in profile, but it was a cloud. What I captured was a face that looks like your face or my face or anyone else's face. And it wasn't made of clouds. It was in the clouds, but behind the clouds, and the clouds were kind of transparently streaming over it. And it was a face with a clear outline of the face, of the head. It had a nose with nostrils, distinguishable nostrils, lips, and it had eyes with pupils. And when I saw this thing, like I said, I jumped back from my computer a little bit. I was like, holy God. And I realized, okay, that's the reason that I developed this urge to start taking pictures into the sun, pictures of the clouds, pictures of the sky, because there are people up there looking down at us, watching us, and somehow either watching over us or interacting us, saying whatever. So I saw this thing. So I began to get this obsession with shooting into the sun, shooting into clouds. And the one thing that I shot that I haven't talked about very, very much with hardly anybody, because for me, it was over the top. It was nuts. It was mind blowing. I rode my motorcycle and went to an air show and over in Daytona Beach, and I parked my motorcycle in between these cars and got this perfect view of the beach and the ocean and where the planes were flying by and everything. And it was just marvelous. And I was sitting there with my telephoto lens, my zoom lens on my camera, taking pictures of the air show. And I got this urge, let's shoot into the sun, of course.
Try it one more time.
So I swing the camera up, look at the sun through my viewfinder, and in the sun, not around the sun or not in the area or vicinity of the sun, but in the sun itself, there was this glowing white face with this glowing, flowing hair, this long flowing beard, clear eyes, clear ears, clear nose, clear lips, clear features, watching the air show in the sun. Giant, huge, gigantic face. And it startled me so much that I lowered my camera. I didn't shoot. I lowered my camera. It blew my mind. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I flipped the camera back up to take a shot, and then it wasn't visible any longer. But the combination of those two things and some other things I've seen in the sky and in the clouds have convinced me that there are beings in the air, in the clouds, in the sky, in the atmosphere up there that are aware of us, that look down upon us, and we may possibly interact with those beings, and they may interact with us. So
Well, there's a guy, and I'm going to set a disclaimer.
yeah,
Don't do this. He claims that it's the man, it's government that's fed us a lie that it's completely safe to stare at the sun and look at the sun.
No,
he
not.
he does it
No,
because
not.
when you stare at the sun, it opens up yourself to where you can see these, like what you're talking about. You see the things that they're trying to keep hidden from you.
Well,
He claims
you
he
may,
stares
but
at the
it
sun
also-
every
but it
day,
also
and it's
burns your retinas out. So
Yeah.
don't do it,
Yeah.
because I
Don't,
did it.
don't do it.
I
We
had
need
to have
like a
cataract
disclaimer
surgery
thing that
as a
scrolls
result.
across.
Yeah,
So
that's why I
don't
said.
do
That's
it.
why I said on the offset. It's just, I'm telling you, terrible idea. But he claims that the reason that we have all been fed the lie that it is unsafe to stare at the sun is because that's how they keep the true secret hidden.
Yeah.
And
know
when you
what?
stare at the
You know
sun,
what?
the I go, yeah, the only true thing that you're going to find is what it's like to be blind.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
yeah.
But it may be. And so I tell people, I say, look, if you're going to attempt this, if you're going to look at the sun or shoot in the sun, get a filter. There are filters that are approved that will protect your eyes.
Oh yeah.
Use, or that you can put over your camera lens and use and do that. But it very well may be because I saw these things because I looked at and shot into the sun. So that very well may be true. But again, dangerous to do. Like I say, I had to have cataract surgery as a result. So
that's
I
weird.
don't recommend doing that. But that was some of the experiences I've had.
That's what I said. Don't do that. That guy's cuckoo.
People that would say what I saw was peraidolia, it was so far removed from that, because if you could see what I saw and see these photographs that I captured, like I say, it wasn't a face made up of clouds or a face, clouds that look like a face. It was absolutely a face, like I said, with eyes, pupils, nose, nostrils, lips, everything, and not made up of clouds, and not really even in the clouds, but kind of
like that video that Brian showed. Let's entertain. So let's say that is actually 100% legit. They saw this face. Like I said, let's say that, we're gonna just get the whole disbelief thing to the side right now.
Right.
What do you guys think that would be then? If that was in fact a face up in the sky looking down like this, what could this be? I mean, is this something? Do we go to like the Marvel universe type thing where this is, this is one of?
It didn't look like it was alive or active. The faces that I shot were alive and active. You could tell they had life to them. This looked like a statue. If it was real, it looked like a carving or a statue. Now, going back decades and decades and decades ago, there are people that have claimed that there is all kinds of activity and statues and carvings and buildings and so on and so forth on the moon. And way back, I started reading Fate magazine when I was a kid, and there used to be articles in Fate magazine way back then that talked about things moving around on the moon, towers, structures, things that would move from one location to another. And they said, look, if you've got a strong enough telescope, all you got to do is sit out in your backyard, aim it up the moon, and you'll see this stuff for yourself. So this has been around forever and a day. Was that real? Possibly. If it was, it looked just like a carving or a statue to me. But if it was, and it was supposed to be on the moon, then that would be further evidence, things that are there and things that people have claimed to be there all these years.
Yeah, I highly encourage people to do this. Look up.
Absolutely.
Look up. There was a movie with I forgot his name, Vin Diesel, and it's I forgot the name of the movie, but it's the one where he has the strange eyes you can see in the dark.
I think it's Pitch Black.
No, it wasn't the Pitch Black one. It was the one where you keep what you kill, and he kills the Overlord. But the ship itself kind of looks like looks like a human being, like a really large, colossus being. That could very well have been a craft. I mean, a large craft.
Yeah.
In the shape of some kind of, figure. I mean, then again, it could just be, really good peraidolia.
Yeah. Now I want to caution people and tell people one thing, and this is something I keep repeating, is that just because something can be fake doesn't mean that the real doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So, we've had this problem forever. The Cottingley fairies, those photographs, the Abraham Lincoln ghost standing behind his wife, all those types of things. We've had this forever and a day. We know things can be faked. We know film photography can be faked. Digital can be faked. Yes, it can. So all these things can be fake, but that doesn't mean that the real doesn't exist. And what I always tell people is please don't close off your mind. Keep an open mind and say, okay, let's examine the possibilities. And if something is obviously a fake, fine, denounce it, get rid of it. But don't let that make us close our minds off to the possibilities that the real does exist. And we have to realize that, okay, even though all these fakes are coming out, the fake UFO things and the AIs and all this thing, doesn't mean that the real doesn't exist. And we have to be open to that possibility. And I guarantee you one thing, once you experience it yourself, I think it's an old Polish proverb that says, you'll know it's true when it happens to you. And once you experience these things for yourself, it will be life-changing. It will open your mind, your heart, your eyes, your spirit to a greater reality. And you will realize that we do have this invisible realm to interact with. We have strange things in the world to interact with. We have UFOs out there doing whatever they're doing for whatever reasons, and so on and so forth. So it's a vast universe full of marvelous and incredible things. And going back to why I do what I do and the reason I write the books that I do, to get you to interact with the positive aspects of this, to improve your life and to help your life, to heal yourself, to help yourself, to make a connection with the other side that's beneficial to you, to connect with your guardian angel so that they guide you and protect you. And again, open up your mind, give it a try. It's like I say in advertising my latest book, 20 Ways to Increase Your Psychic Abilities. If you started right now this month working on the tools and techniques in my book, and you did that diligently until autumn of this year, your life could change drastically for the better. Open up your mind and give it a try. And people that say, well, I did this, it didn't work. I did this, nothing happened. I asked for this, nothing happened. They did it 1 or 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and then they said, see, there's nothing to it. Sometimes you have to be persistent. Some people have this gift or this, they're born with this innate ability to connect with the other side or to have these experiences much more easily than other people are. So don't try it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, say nothing happened, give up. Continue until you begin to get results.
Yeah, I would never give up. I'll tell you, we talked about muscles. You talked about if you want to, lift 100 pounds, start with 30, and do that 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Your psychic abilities, I believe everybody has them.
Yeah.
The problem is, if you don't exercise that muscle, you're not getting anything from it.
That's it.
So,
Yeah.
and
That's
you
it.
need to exercise it. And
Yeah.
a great way to exercise it, take a deck of cards also. I mean, buy the book, The 20 Ways,
There you go.
deck of cards. And when you're sitting there bored, flip them over and try to read what card it is coming up.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
You're going to start opening up, pathways.
There's a lot of things that you can do.
Yeah.
And in my book, 20 Ways to Increase Your Psychic Abilities, I'm getting feedback now from readers worldwide. I heard from a reader in Spain, heard from a reader in Sweden, and people all across the U.S. And they're giving me feedback and they say, hey, John, I tried this and it worked. It worked. So guys, get the book.
That's the review ever. When you get the feedback, like, you did a great job. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
Get the book and use it, utilize it. And for people that, I still have this pushback because of the predominant prevailing attitude in the paranormal realm, spiritual realm, psychic realm. Oh, you're going to open up doors to things you can't control. You're going to open up an attachment. You're going to get an attachment. You're going to attract a demon. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. BS. No, you're not. It's not that way.
Right.
Laura, adrenaline is a major way to sober.
Yeah. The people that have difficulties and experience negative things, for the most part, go in with that preconceived mindset. They misinterpret what's happening. They want to be scared. They allow themselves to be scared. They accept the prevailing attitude that this is what the paranormal realm is, that there's something dangerous behind every bush waiting out to jump out and grab you and mess up your life. Folks, it is not that way. I don't care who you're listening to on TV. I have done this paranormal investigation since I was 11 years old. I'm going to be 70 in March. Okay. I've been around the block a few times in this thing. I have done hundreds of paranormal investigations, including high profile paranormal investigations. I have done all manner of connection and interaction with the other side, with ghosts, with nature spirits, with deceased loved ones, with guardian angels, so on and so forth. It is not like the TV shows want you to believe it is. It's not dangerous. You're not going to open up something that you can't control or is going to harm you by using the tools and techniques in this book. And it's like I tell everybody in the book, if in spite of everything I said, and in spite of all the experience I've had, I've read professionally for 50 years, over 50 years now, for clients in 40 countries. I've had over 1,000 paranormal manifestations I've experienced on the physical realm, many times witnessed by others. I've done a ton of paranormal investigations. So I kind of know what I'm talking about here, folks. I've got the real deal experience. I have lived this every day of my life. And you're not going to do anything that's going to mess you up by using the tools and techniques in this book. But like I tell everybody, if you have any consternation, any fear, any hesitancy about any one thing in that book, don't do it. It's plain and simple. Don't do it. Use something else. Go to another chapter. Try something else. But listen, you're not going to open up something you can't control by using the tools and techniques in this book.
I mean, you've been doing this for so long, and you're so accurate with your reading, and you've helped like thousands of people out. I mean, did they ever get to a point after like you've been doing it for like 20 years, and it just and it does sometimes come like that, where before they even open them, don't do it. She's not coming. Walk away. But I didn't. Just go. I don't have time for you right now. You ever get one of those? You just like stop.
No.
Tell them right then and there. No.
I
was wondering if you ever get like, nope.
No, really don't.
Oh, okay.
I've done this professionally for 50 years now. And, it's been a wonderful, wonderful thing because I've helped so many people. I've gotten so much positive feedback. The greatest frustration for me is I'll tell people, I say, look, over the years, this is not my estimate. This is my client's estimate. The feedback I have gotten over 50 years period of time is that my insights and my predictions are 80 to 90% accurate. Okay, that's pretty darn good. So the greatest frustration I have in my life is when I tell a client when I'm reading for them, I say, look, if I know something and I know it's going to happen, or I know my insight's accurate, or I know what I'm predicting for you is going to come to pass, take it to the bank. Here's how to deal with it. Here's how to act on it. Here's how to work with it. Here's what to do. And my greatest frustration in life is when they don't do that. And then they come back to me and they go, John, you were right. And okay, good. You did what I said and you avoided the calamity. No. And it's like, man, it's like I have a very, very wealthy client. And he would ask me for stock market advice. And I would say, don't do this. Don't do that. Do this.
Right.
And he wrote me one time and he said, he said, when I listen to you, do I believe in multiple timelines when I read? I'll address that in a second, but not really. He said, when I listen to you, I do okay. I don't lose money. I make money. But when you've told me to do something and I decide I'm going to use my own intellect or my own intuition or my own feeling or whatever, I lose money. And I said, okay, what's the moral there? So my big frustration is I've had so many clients, and I've had a lot of clients, I think more clients than not, come to me over the years and said, hey, I did what you said and it worked out for me, or the prediction you made were accurate, and how you told me to handle it helped me and was accurate, and everything worked out okay. So
Right.
More often than not, but the frustrating part is the clients that I say, hey, you need to do this, listen to me, and they don't, and then it messes up their lives, or they get in trouble, or they have problems, or they get in a scenario they don't want to be in. Just recently, I had a client that I told like 3 or 4 times the same thing over and over and over. And I said, man, you need to do this right now. And they kept delaying, and they kept putting it off, and they kept delaying, they kept putting it off. And then they got in trouble because of it. It messed up their life. And I said, look, if you'd have done this when I told you, you wouldn't be in this situation. They're like, yeah,
Exactly.
you're right. So do I believe in multiple timelines? Not really. I think we have a timeline that we have the possibility of options in, but it's that same timeline. It's not multiple timelines. And I tell my clients that we have the about 80% of our future is the product of our choices. And that's not a timeline. We're on the same timeline. It's just what choices are we going to make on that timeline? Are we going to take this job? We're going to take that job. Are we going to move here? Are we going to stay here? So on and so forth. That's within our capability. Now, within that, I can give you the best advice for what the choices you should make should be in all of those venues. So about 80% of our future is the product of our choices. And that's why it's important that we learn to choose wisely, that we know ourselves, that we ask for help and guidance from the other side, and we work with our strengths. We find our niche, we stay there. And then about 20% of what happens to us in our life seems to be kind of fate, predetermined, whatever you want to call it. And that is going to happen regardless of what you do or don't do. And I think one of the main reasons for that, we all have life lessons to learn, myself included. And there are things that we have to learn. The market crashes every year. You don't have to be psychic to answer that. The market always crashes. There's always going to be a correction or a crash or whatever. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
So
we're way overdue for one, though, by the way.
Yeah.
That's for anybody that, I don't care what you are. I go 34 trillion in debt. I go, we spend like drunken sailors. I go, I don't care. I don't care who you guys, who you're Democrat, Republican, I don't care. Guys,
we're going to pay the piper.
It's simple economics. Everybody understands in your own personal checkbook. If you just distill it down, we'll just do like normal things. If you spend $4,500 a month on stuff and you only bring in 1,000, do the math, people. It's only a matter of time before everything just goes.
Or you're going to jail.
It's just you're going to go complete. The whole thing. You're broke. You're out of your. Everything. I go, just The only difference is they just keep pumping fake
Yeah.
pretend. And I just, so yeah, so to that question, I can pretty much say it's like, yes, there's always like the little mini ones. We are way overdue for a major correction.
Yeah.
But I think my little economic talk, I think the thing that's really staved a lot of that off, from when I was in school too, because the whole economic thing, well, it doesn't make any sense anymore. It's just like normal logic doesn't apply in the markets anymore.
Right.
And I think part of that has been the internet,
Yeah.
the global economy, because now there's so much stuff moving now. You can't do the normal metrics like you used to with economics, because things are completely off the charts.
Yeah.
The problem currently with the market, because I did finance for a long time, worked on Wall Street my whole entire career.
Mm-hmm.
Problem we have right now is the cover up of real information that's there, but they're not reporting it, or they're reporting one side of the information, and then also the human characteristic of, well, life sucks, so I'm going to ignore this for a while until I have to deal with it. And that gets me back to something in relationship to the timeline thing.
Yeah.
So I do readings, and I've never in my ability of doing what I do have ever felt it was not where we were on the timeline where we're in. And I've seen things, and I know, and a lot of times there's certain things that will alter it. Like when they play around with CERN, I know it usually, and I ask everybody I give readings to benchmarks. If something happens, tell me, hey, I just found the feather, or I was just in the mall, or whatever in relationship. So I kind of can gauge, because usually when I see a time, or when I see somebody meeting somebody, like, what am I going to meet? My girl, I can see the Christmas decorations. I know when we're roughly about. Right. And I've never in my life have ever seen an alternative timeline in a reading, in a vision, personally, in relationship to a reading for somebody. I've had two people tell me, yeah, you were in a different timeline. And I'm like, how the hell am I reading? I mean, 99.9999, almost 100%. I'm not doing that. And all of a sudden, because I'm seeing one thing, now I'm in a different timeline. Is that just an excuse, or is that possible?
Yeah, I think it's an excuse. We have, just like people that go to multiple psychics until they find somebody that tells them what they want to hear.
Yeah, we've been through that last time.
Yeah. And then they use the excuse of, well, you're seeing a different timeline to justify going some way that they want to, or making you wrong or right or whatever. So I think that's the case. Before I forget, I want to go back to the faces for just a minute, the faces in the sky, and talk about also, I tell you, tacos would hit the spot right now.
Tacos would be good right now.
Oh yeah. And tell you that going the other way, like we saw the macrocosm, the faces in the sky, and now the microcosm going the other way. And when I did micro or macro photography, Nikon users get to call it micro. When I did micro photography, I would get these incredibly small, like flowers, like a quarter of an inch wide. And when you photograph them, micro photography, and blow them up, magnify them and blow them up, there's a universe in there. There's a world in there it's every bit as big as the large flowers that you photograph. It's amazing. It's astonishing. And I begin to get faces, again, distinguishable with eyes, pupils. This one I shot, and I've got to get this up. I have a website that I've started developing for this, to get these up so people can see them. This one I shot, the thing I shot was maybe a quarter of an inch in real life. And when I microed it and blew it up, you can see a face with eyes, eyebrows, eyelids, nose, nostrils, and red lips. It's like the most amazing thing on the planet. So I begin to understand, hey, there are beings little bitty teeny tiny down here, and there are beings great big up there. Yeah, let's get those tacos, baby. Love that cilantro.
Bring them in.
Love that cilantro. So, we have to understand that we're
Little
dealing
self-plug.
with a wide range of beings, energies, intelligences, so on and so forth at the micro level and the macro level. And we have to understand that. So that's one of the things that I discovered as well when I began to explore this. And
Yes, MAO.
it's astonishing. It really opens up your mind to what the world is and the marvelous things happening in the world that we take for granted. We never know, we never see. And
Right.
I would not have been aware of that realm until I started doing macro photography and became aware that there's this whole group of beings in this small dimension. And one of the things I did, I went out when we had frost. I said, I wonder if I can shoot some ice crystals. So I would run out and plug something off the lawn that had frost on it and bring it back in and focus on it and shoot the ice crystals. And I got some weird, bizarre, incredible things in the ice crystals. One of the things I got was this face. And it was kind of it looked almost like he had a rounded helmet, or else his head was kind of rounded. And then I could see his eyes and Pico de Gallo. Yeah. Oh yeah. I could see his nose, his nostrils. He had a mustache and he had a beard. And I looked at this thing, this face was evident in this teeny tiny ice crystal that I had shot. And I was like, man, this is amazing. This is just phenomenal. And then to get away from peraidolia and to convince people that it's not all peraidolia, what began to happen was this exact same face began to appear like in tree bark in the woods outside my home. And the face would be like a couple of feet tall. And then one time I walked out and I was going down my driveway and it had rained or there was some dew or something. Well, there was a little wet spot on the driveway. And in that wet spot, that exact same face appeared, like 3-4 feet tall. And it's gone on and on and on. I've seen that face repeatedly over and over and over again, that exact same face. And then when we moved, we came to our new house and got here. We have 9 jillion rocks in the yard, and I can't remember if we talked about the magical rocks and the interactions with them I've had over the years. I don't remember if we talked about that or not, but
oh, those are great.
One of the rocks that I found had that same face in it. I mean, it was just the most marvelous thing. So we have all of these beings that are capable of manifesting and communicating with us on every type of level, from small up to universal.
I mean, I've seen some. I was talking to actually when Dave Scott was on. I saw his daughter's fairy video, and this is my daughter. We were just doing this pre-COVID, and there's my other halves going up, and this I said, she always like a ham. Give me a shot.
You're right.
And I took a series of photos, and I looked and I'm like, what's that on her finger? And I'm going to try to switch to this right there. Let me get escape from this. And then you get this.
Oh, wow.
And if anybody knows this is my youngest. He's not of this planet. He is an old soul. She knows stuff. The things that have come out of her mouth at young ages, like she was here before. She was my grandmother before, she came here. I investigate this stuff. The area that we're in is in New York State. It's called Nidda Mountain. A lot of Bigfoots, a lot of high strangeness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was not expecting to see what looks like Jiminy Cricket on her. Think about Jiminy Cricket on there. So it's just, and then if you really look at the photo, this is just, I had to blur a little bit because they were using it with a third party, and I didn't want my daughter's, stuff.
Right.
And then degrades every time you make a copy of a copy.
Sure.
But if you saw the original, you can see the details in it because I shoot in raw.
Yeah.
At that time, I was shooting raw imaging, right?
Gotcha.
P900 raw.
Right.
And so you can manipulate it. You can really expand it. And I go at the max. this had a face, look like a kind of like a grasshopper face with eyes,
Right.
like a slanted eyes, almost Asian-esque, and some antlers. And I'm like, she had no idea. She didn't even know it was on her.
Yeah. Yep.
And I was just like,
Yeah, we have all these nature spirits out there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Here's another picture. I wanted to bring this one. This is an actual. You'll see these every now and then where people will post these pictures up, and this is this like just forget this isn't peraidolia. This is actual a physical, physical thing that can occur. It's a phenomenon where you'll have a figure that'll actually be there, and the light refraction, it'll actually cast that person's shadow up into the sky. They've had it like there's always been pictures of like they'll say like it looks like a mountain, like there's Bigfoot up on the mountain or something like that. It's actual thing where this phenomenon, just the way the light refracts, this will actually show up in the sky. This isn't a supernatural being. Yeah. Most likely this is somebody that's hiking, that's up on the hill, and their shadow is being cast into the sky.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's one where people, when you see these things, just because somebody's going to post on the group saying, I just saw Jesus in the sky, think of, this is why, praise the Lord.
Surely so.
No, most likely this was Bob. He's drinking a beer and he's hiking up and he just stopped for a second to look at the trees, and somebody's actually, snapping a photo. So this isn't Obi-Wan Kenobi, in a robe that, this is my picture of Jesus on the wall.
And this is important why when we're examining these things, that we have to know what's going on. I remember there was for decades now, they would put up pictures of these elongated, like rods with these little wings all up and down them.
Yep.
And they thought that was some supernatural paranormal thing. And what it turned out to be, and I captured it myself, what it turned out to be was insects flying at high speed, faster than the setting was in the camera, so that they blurred, and the effect was of an elongated rod with wings. And I remember I captured that myself accidentally because I was shooting at a slow shutter speed in my backyard one time, and shooting into a swarm of gnats that was visible, and I was shooting into the swarm of gnats. And I downloaded the pictures, and there were all these elongated rods with the wings, but they were in that exact area where the gnats were. And it was like, oh, okay, I caught the gnats on the, that's what it was. So there are a lot of things that can happen that you have to be very careful with in photography. And again, that's why you have to examine things. You have to be careful of things. You have to know what you're doing. But again, just because an accident can happen that's misinterpreted or something can be faked doesn't mean that the real doesn't exist. Yeah, right. we saw the floating city. Yeah, and they're still arguing about what that might have been.
I'm trying to find an image of it.
I thought it was floating in China, not Japan, but whatever.
It looked like whatever. But they were saying that that this was a reflection cast up into the sky, and then
yes. Thing. I think this is the same. I think what this was almost the same phenomenon
as the hikers.
Yeah,
yeah,
because I'm bringing up the image right now. It's just based off of what it's like. Here it is right here. I think it's almost the same phenomenon.
I am plugged into the internet, and it still takes forever because your cell service is faster than my internet service. Just so you know.
Yeah,
which is really bizarre.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
because it's one of those things when you see it, you're like, that's kind of one of my pictures. Like when we were talking about these things, just like I said, just because you see it, one doesn't mean that it's a supernatural event. Exactly. That's why it's so important for people to go through and actually do the research on something too, and figure it out before.
That's what I've done with my own stuff as well. And where there were cases that I examined it and I was like, okay, there's nothing normal or natural that can account for this, then I know I've captured something genuinely paranormal. And there's been other cases, like I say, the rods with the wings, where I was shooting into the swarm of gnats, and it's like, oh, okay, that was the gnats, you know. So you do have to do that. You do have to examine that. But again, just because something can be faked or can be misunderstood doesn't mean that the genuine doesn't exist. And that's what we have to open our minds to. And that's what we have to be willing to be receptive to.
Yeah. And the problem that with all this, including even, you know, the multiple timelines, readings, and whatever is, and you stated it last time, and I'll just restate it. People will co-opt what they want to use for their own goals.
Exactly.
And they will say, well, you know what? The signs are there. I've seen the signs and all this other stuff. And I'm like, and when you read somebody and they just don't want to, not like they don't want to listen. It's not like they're disrespecting you, but they believe, oh, that means, you know, I'm supposed to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't say that.
I didn't say it. But I know that you're off the right. You're not on the right path right there.
Yeah.
But and trying to talk to people, it's unfortunate, but trying to talk to people that are just going to co-opt stuff when you know they're headed down this path.
Yeah.
You know I've tried personally.
I had a lady that I did a reading for that left me horribly negative reviews on Amazon on my books, stating what a fraud and a phony I was and how horrible my books were and how horrible I was. And the reason that she left those reviews, and I'm not talking out of turn here, she stupidly put her name on Amazon, so I can tell you all about it.
You can state it.
I can state it, baby. So
yes, sir.
The reason that happened in the reading that I gave her, she was just cocksure that she was handling the situations that we discussed in the reading perfectly fine. She had control of everything. She knew everything that was happening. Everything was fine and dandy. And I said, no, you don't. And you need to pay attention to me and you need to listen to me because you don't have this handled. It isn't fine. It's going to be your destruction. It's going to be a huge problem. And you think you're on top of it, but you're not. And I kept telling her that repeatedly and she didn't want to hear it. So that's the crappy review. So
for everybody I looked up, it's called a broken specter is the term.
I had somebody I have somebody I'm doing readings for. He's a good guy and he's got complacent. I told him, don't get complacent.
Right.
I'm close to this person and he found somebody else that was going to give him readings. And this woman gave him readings.
What he wanted to hear.
Well, no. She was telling bits and pieces. And the last reading I had for him, I said, I told him, I said, the future is fluid. And if you think you're going to sit back and it's just going to happen, it's not going to happen.
Right.
And I said, and the whole timeline is going to change and what was stated will not be there. And that's exactly what he waited.
Yeah.
And I know that I don't care if he uses another psychic. I don't, you're free to do whatever you want.
Sure.
And I said, I know that she knows that you're using me. She knows it. And she's not too thrilled about it. I said, I don't care. You do what you have to do to get the information you need. Not a problem. But I said, this time around, stop being complacent. Don't sit on your fat ass.
Exactly.
And think shit's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, you have to.
We have to do stuff. We have to do stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
We have to do stuff. And it's like, that one of the analogies I always give with paranormal guidance, psychic guidance, spiritual growth is you can be born with the perfect body to be a world-class athlete, but you don't become the world-class athlete by sitting on the couch and watching TV. You become a world-class athlete by getting out there and utilizing the gift that you're given and training hard and overcoming the obstacles and difficulties that go with the genre of becoming a world-class athlete and doing it, producing it, making the sacrifices necessary. And it's the same way with psychic growth, spiritual growth, paranormal activities, paranormal connection with the other side, getting that guidance, anything else. It takes some dedication, takes some practice, takes some discipline, takes some willingness to open up to what the other side is going to give you. And sometimes that answer is no. Sometimes that answer is wait. Sometimes that answer is do something you don't want to do, but that's the thing that you need. And
then when they stop talking to you that you're normally talking to, and they're, don't just think you're on the right path at that point. They're just getting frustrated. You're not paying attention.
Right.
And then they shut down, and then they wait till you fall on your ass.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed. And when you fall on your ass, then they go, what did we tell you?
Yep.
And you could try to discredit it. Like, but when they stop giving you the advice, if you've been using, you have your spirit guides, there's just so much you can, like with children. I tell my kids the only time you want your life to be better, change your attitude, change your life.
There you go. There you go.
And my kids are like,
when we ask for that guidance, when we ask for our guides to help us, you have to listen, you have to receive that guidance, and then you have to act on that guidance. You have to do what they tell you, because otherwise it becomes useless. Yeah, that picture looks a little bit too good to be true.
Yeah, this one that I'm showing right now, that definitely is those hands have been
AI. That's got to be
those ones.
AI cannot do
this is a really cool
formation.
It's two different. It's basically it's two different systems kind of coming together.
Yeah.
You can see the angular thing, but it creates a really cool, because it's. I like this one. I would almost, if somebody photographed this one and actually printed it, I would almost call this the Thunderbird. That would be the title I would give it, just because of just the way it looks. It's awesome.
Let me address Katie here.
Yeah.
She says, why do you think true psychics pick up different things and different outcomes? Well, they usually don't, Katie. Anybody that really is a true psychic, like I have worked with other people that I knew did really have a true psychic gift and a true capability. And if we read together for someone, we would see the identical same things and the identical same outcome. Now, there might be, they would see one little area of this person's life that I didn't, and I would see some little area of a person's life that they didn't. But overall, it all meshed and it all went toward the same goal, the same end, the same outcome. And so if you've got somebody that really has a true psychic gift, you're not going to get a bunch of different outcomes. You're not going to get a bunch of different opinions. You're not going to get a bunch of different input. An example of that, I had a reading I did for, there were two ladies that came to me, and they said, the greatest compliment I ever got, they said, if we want somebody that we know who is going to give us the truth, who are we going to call? John. And I appreciated that so much. And so they referred a friend of theirs to me. And I did the reading for their friend. And I, in the reading, I said, your marriage is breaking up. I said, your husband has found somebody else. He's moving on. There's going to be a divorce. There's no reconciling this, no reconciliation. So we went on through the reading, and several times she came back to me and she said, are you sure about this? Do you feel positive about this? And I said, yeah, absolutely. Take it to the bank. It's going to happen. So prepare yourself for it. Prepare yourself to move on, so on and so forth. So we got through with the reading, and she was very cordial. We ended the reading, and a little while later, the friends called me. The two friends called me. They said, John, we got to talk about so-and-so's reading. I said, I can't do that. The readings are confidential. They said, no, we're going to tell you about the reading. I said, what do you mean? And they said, well, after you got through with the on the bottom,
he rolls glue on and then just kind of, it's like cut the hair, and then you kind of just patch it on.
That's for my buddy Dave. I've known him for.
Anyways. They said, we're going to tell you about the reading. So they said, we talked to her. She called us, tell us about the reading. And she was furious. And I said, are you kidding me? I said, well, in the reading, she was very cordial with me. We ended on a good note. Oh, no. She was furious at what you told her. And she said, John, we counted. This is not an exaggeration. We counted. And it was at least 10. It may have been more than that because it's been a long time. I don't remember the exact number. But it was at least 10. Go away, Robin. That's not true. So I'll address that in a second. So she said, we literally counted, and it was at least 10. She went to 10 other psychics at least, and it may have been more than that. I'm saying 10. I know it was at least 10. And she said they all told her, no, you were wrong. The marriage was going to be saved. He was going to come back. There was going to be a change of mind. The marriage would be restored. Everything was going to be fine and dandy, happily ever after, blah, blah, blah. She said, Johnny, filed for divorce this week. So if you're getting a lot of this is going to happen, this is going to happen from a lot of psychics, that's not necessarily true either. So you have to understand that. You have to deal with that. When you do readings to address that issue, this is another misconception that people have about dealing with the other side and opening up to the other side, that there's going to be danger, attachments, malevolence, draining, this, blah, 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 blah. I've never experienced that. I don't do anything special to protect myself when I do a reading. I don't do anything special to protect myself when I do a paranormal investigation. I don't do anything special because it's not necessary.
Don't mind me. I'm just mashing the keyboard over here and just randomly hitting buttons.
We don't run around.
Yeah.
We don't run around in a spiritual dimension where things are just waiting to jump out from behind a bush and grab us, possess us, attach to us, mess up our lives, whatever. This goes back to horror movies, The Exorcist and stuff like that. This goes back to the ghost hunter shows where they want you to believe there's a demon behind every bush coming out. This goes back to the so-called paranormal investigators that go in, oh, something scratched me, pushed me, told me it wanted to kill me, told me it wanted to get out, blah, blah, blah. That's not the reality of interacting with the other side. That's not the reality of interacting with the paranormal realm. That's not the reality of being a psychic reader. I've done professional readings since I was 18. I'm going to be 70 in a few months. That's not the reality of doing professional psychic readings. I've done paranormal investigations since I was 11. I'm going to be 70 in a few months. I've done hundreds of these. That's not the reality of interacting with the paranormal realm. So over and over and over again, I see these things, and all these things come from the popular propaganda that we've been fed. It amazes me. It horrifies me. It scares me how many people believe that horror movies are a realistic depiction of interaction with the other side. It's not. It horrifies me how many people believe that the ghost hunters on TV, the ghost hunter programs, are an accurate depiction of interaction with the other side. It's not.
Well, there's a meme that pretty much sums it up great. It's like cryptids. It shows, like, over in Europe and stuff, it shows their version of cryptids, like this cute little gnome, hanging around mushrooms. And then it shows Americans when they view a cryptid, and it's some gnarled old beast thing. And they look like they're in SWAT, they look like they're in special ops gear, getting ready to go after a cryptid. And like, that's pretty much it. It's like, to a point, I think
it's funny
I think people
that, because I was on one of my UK podcasts. I've been on 9 different UK podcasts, and one of the UK podcasts I was on, it was so funny because the host said, over in America, you get all flustered and scared and all this, and it's a demon. Here in the UK, we just go, oh, it's a ghost.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that mindset has to do with it. But, we have this teaching from supposed authorities, which are not, and I can document that. We have this supposed teaching that you have to be so careful. You have to protect yourself. Everything's dangerous. Everything's demonic. Everything's this, everything's that. That's not the case. And that's what I have tried to do with my readings, with my life in this work, over 50 years spent in this work, with my books, is to educate people to the fact that no, it's not that way, that there are positive, helpful, spiritual entities and beings out there. You need me on your show, give me a holler. JohnRussell.net, my contact information is there. Go to johnrussellpsychic@hotmail.com. I'll be happy.
I might even be able to get you in touch with him, seeing he's a sponsor.
Yeah, there you go. But the reality of it is not this way, and we need to get past that and realize that we can utilize these tools and techniques and this connection with the other side to help us, to heal us, to make our lives better, to work against the darkness in the world, which is greed and arrogance and all of these things, and that we can work spiritually to overcome these things, that there are spiritual tools and techniques that we can use to do that. And again, don't believe the hype that's out there, because it is hype. Look, it plants your butt in seats, it tantalizes you and it scares you, and it sells advertising, and that's all it does. Period. End of discussion. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, yeah, I kind of stay away from demons and demonic stuff, based stuff, because if my opinion is, if you are not mentally, you don't have the fortitude, it can be a problem for you, and you don't want to go down that road.
Let's address the demon issue.
Right.
If we accept the biblical definition of a demon's a fallen angel. The angels are higher in order, according to the Bible, than man. Right. Higher in order means stronger, more intelligent, more powerful, more devious, so on and so on and so on and so forth. So if there's a demon, it's going to be smarter than you. It's going to be a liar. It's not going to tell you the truth, and you're not going to control it.
Right.
So, by going into this theory of demonology, and I hate these people. I hate them. Oh, I've studied demons, and I know these demons. I know their names. No, you don't. Because if you're accepting the concept of demonology, the concept of demonology comes from the Christian Bible. And the Christian Bible says that Satan's a liar and the father of lies. Therefore, all the demons, fallen angels, are liars. They're not going to tell you the truth, and they're not going to be subject to you because you're not more powerful. Okay. Now, in all the instances, and again, if I can stress this enough, most of the interactions we have that we assume are malevolent or scary or whatever comes from our misinterpretation of what's happening. And I'll give you an example of that. When I shot a TV pilot for the History Channel, there was a woman that came to me during the filming, and she said, when you get a break, I got to talk to you. And I said, okay. Said a ghost tried to kill me. I said, oh my God. Said, no ghost tried to kill you. Yes, it's ghost tried to kill me. I said, okay, I'll talk to you. So psychically, I already knew what happened. So we got to the break, went in to talk to the woman, and she said, okay, now listen, I'm standing in my kitchen. I'm washing dishes, doing whatever. She said there was a cupboard across the kitchen. The doors flew open by themselves. Yeah, I believe that. A dish flew out by itself. Yeah, I believe that. Flew across the room, hit the wall right beside me, and shattered into a million pieces, fell on the floor. Yeah, I believe that. She said, see, a ghost tried to kill me. I said, okay, ghost didn't try and kill you. Ghost didn't even try and hurt you. If the ghost tried to hurt you or kill you, it would hit you with a plate. Right. I said, here's what's going on, because I tune into this psychically before I even talk to you, and here's what's happening. The other side told me that your spirit guides have been trying to reach you and get a hold of you and get your attention and give you guidance for a long, long time. And you've ignored them, and you've pushed them away, and you've pushed them away, and you've pushed them away. And they got so frustrated, they're like, oh yeah, push this away. Ignore this. You can't ignore this. And I said, they're not trying to hurt you. They're just trying to get your attention, because there are things in your life that they need to tell you. They want to tell you. They want to guide you, and they want to help you. But you've been so damn stubborn that you've refused all of it, pushed it away, shut it down. And finally, they're like, okay, we're going to get your attention this way. And I explained that to her, told her what to do, told her how to interact with that, and she got it. So that's a gross misinterpretation of what had happened. I had another client. She said, I watched this world famous psychic on TV. And she said, if you want a ghost in your life, ask. One will show up. And she said, I thought that sounded like fun. So I asked for a ghost. Here come a ghost. And I got this ghost, and all this thing started happening in my house. It scared the life out of me. And I moved. I tried to get rid of the ghost, and I moved. She said, when I moved, the ghost followed me. And where I moved, there was a house where I lived, and there was parking. When people didn't have garages, most of them, it was parking on the street, up and down the street. And she said the ghost would set off the car alarms in sequence, up one side of the street and down the other. And the neighbor said, well, this has never happened before. This wacko lady moved in. It must be her doing this somehow. And they called the police on me, John. She said, the police are standing on my doorstep interviewing me, and the car alarms go off in sequence up one side of the street and down the other. And she said, the cops look at me, they look at each other, they look back at me, they look at each other. I go, I don't know what the hell's going on here, but you're not doing it. We're out of here, and they're gone. So I said, okay, here's what happened. You asked for a ghost. You got one. It came. And now you want to get rid of it. You found a puppy on the street. Here, puppy, I'll take you home. No, I don't want you. I'm going to throw you back out on the street. I said, look, entities, spirits, beings, guardian angels, spirit guides, ghosts, our deceased loved ones, we all have volition, will, intelligence, memory, emotions. So here you said you wanted this thing, and it came, and it's there. I'm here. I don't want you to get the hell out of here. I'm going to move to get rid of you. And I said, no. You're going to move. I'm going to go with you. Why are you doing this? You wanted me. Now you don't want me. Now I'm pissed. I'm going to set these car alarms off. And it did.
Oh, yeah. I'll show you.
I'll show you. So I said, okay, here's what you do. I said, now there are other things we can do if this didn't work, but this will work. I said, talk to this spirit, talk to this ghost that you've invited in. Say, okay, look, I asked for you. Then I wanted to get rid of you. I tried to leave and move and leave you behind. I'm sorry. I apologize. I did ask you to come. I do want you to be here, but do this for me. This is new to me, and it's kind of a little bit scary to me. Be easy with your interactions with me. Don't be so demonstrative on the physical realm. Kind of ease me into this. Let me get used to this. And help me here. Watch over me. Watch over the house. And when I have to leave, if I go shopping or whatever, and I go out and you're not taking along with me, if you're here, watch over the house and watch. Yeah, well, some of the kooks you can't tell easily. Some of the because they're real good con artists. Let me tell you, that's a whole.
Oh, yes, they are.
And watch over the house and watch over me. And I said, do that. Make peace with the spirit you've invited in, and things will be okay. And she did, and things were all right. So that's some of the things that we have to understand, is that we can misinterpret and misunderstand the things that we experience and the things that we go through, and that's part of it. So we can misinterpret the actions of things that we experience and that we encounter. So again, it goes back to that knee-jerk reaction of, oh, wow, here's something supernatural. It must be scary. It must be malevolent. It must be demonic. It must be dangerous.
I mean, I have found on investigations and from watching some of them into having interactions that when you come across a spirit that's a little girl, you should probably leave the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always do have thoughts, but I didn't weigh in on this one because it's not my expertise.
Yeah.
It's like I have opinions, but it's not really.
There's never anything I've encountered in all of these decades that I've done paranormal investigations. There's never anything I've encountered that made me fearful, that made me anxious, or that made me feel I should leave a place. I've never been threatened. I've never been scratched. I've never been bit. I've never been pushed. I've never had the EVPs that said, get out or I'm going to kill you or you don't belong here. I've never had any of that. And I've done hundreds of paranormal investigations with real world manifestations. We've caught on film, on camera. We've caught on audio. We've had eyewitnesses with it. So I've never encountered any of that. So it goes back again to that knee-jerk fear reaction. It goes back to what we've been taught in our Christian upbringing, other religious upbringing, our false paranormal upbringing that's wrong. So it goes back to that, and we have to get over those knee-jerk reactions. Another thing that I need people to understand is that the party line is not necessarily the correct line. There is... if I were to say the name, there was a world famous, literally world famous paranormal researcher, New York Times bestselling author that would Again, if I would say the name, everybody would immediately know it. And their viewpoint was they knew everything about the other side. They knew everything about how the spiritual realm was and blah, blah, blah. And of course, I didn't know jack shit. This person was a friend with a friend of my wife's who was a psychic, and they worked together. And part of their things was that they would go and they would close portals and get rid of ghosts and get ghosts out of places. So my contention, like going back to demons, if demons existed, they would be smarter and wiser and more devious than we are, and we wouldn't have control over them. So the same thing with portals. If a portal exists, we didn't create it. We're not going to close it. We don't have dominion over it. It exists. It does what it does. Whoever utilizes it does whatever they do through it, and so on and so forth. So we don't have dominion over that. So in this one of these investigations that they did was a family that had a house in New York, and they were having these paranormal manifestations, and they had not experienced them before. So it scared them. It frightened them. They didn't know what to do with it. And knee-jerk reaction, oh, it's got to be dangerous. It's got to be malevolent. It's got to be scary. So we got to get somebody in here to get rid of this. So they got the world famous personage and the psychic to come in and do this thing. So they proclaimed that they got rid of the ghost, long story short, and closed down the portals. The family would have no more problems. So my experience has been that whether you call a psychic, a priest, an exorcist, a quote unquote demonologist, whoever, not only does it not stop anything, it usually makes it worse. That's been my practical experience in all the cases I've dealt with. So the history is written by the victors. And in this case, they proclaim, we closed the portal, we got rid of the ghost, the family's fine, da, 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 da. And that didn't set right with me. I knew it wasn't true. So interestingly enough, after becoming aware of this, a few months down the road, I was at one of the big chain bookstores, and I'd always go and peruse the paranormal shelf. And lo and behold, this book stands out to me, and I look at it and I grab it off the shelf. And here is the story of that New York family and that paranormal investigation by the world famous person and the psychic. But guess what? It's written from the perspective of the family that was involved. And they talk about the idiocy that the paranormal investigators went through, subjected them to, that was just ludicrous in some cases. And interestingly enough, long story short, they get down to the end of the thing, and guess what? Not only did they not close the portal, not only did they not get rid of the ghost, the activity increased and became worse. So I always tell people, look, you don't shut this down. What you do is you learn to make peace with this. You learn to understand that this is a normal part of the world that we live in. These beings, these intelligences, these entities are around us all the time. You and me and you and all our listeners, all that energy is there right now. Whether you think it is or not, it's there. It's a normal part of this world. And I use the analogy of radio waves, where we're all sitting right now, all the listeners and all of us, there's invisible waves going through the air that carry country music, jazz, metal, rock and roll, so on and so forth, talk radio, interview programs, everything else. It's all right there right now in the air around us right now. We're not aware of it, but it's there. And if you want to prove that to yourself, grab a radio, plug it in the wall, turn the dial, and oh, there's rock music. I turn the dial again. Oh, there's jazz music. It's there. We're just not tuned into it. We don't hear it. These beings, intelligences, energies, so on and so forth, are around us right now. It's a normal part of our existence. We're just not tuned into that. We're not aware of it. And then when we do become aware of it, oh my God, it's something to be feared or something scary or whatever. And we have to understand that's not the case. So
there's that same eye.
Yeah.
And that, like from Laura.
And we have to understand that there are beings that use these things to manifest, to communicate with us, to let us know that there are greater intelligences, greater things happening in this world. And it's not something to fear. It's a normal part of this world. And if we learn how to connect with that properly, and I write about that in my book, 20 Ways to Increase Your Psychic Abilities. Here's how to do that safely, and here's how to utilize that to your benefit. Now, you're not going to know everything. Not everything is going to make sense. The other thing I wanted to cover before we run out of time, I know we're getting out of time here, was not only the things that I've seen in the sky, but the stars. I've had some very, very, very strange star experiences over the years. The first thing happened when I was a young boy, and we went up to visit some friends of ours in the north part of town. This is in West Texas where I grew up, and the summers are brutal. I mean, think sticking your head in a pizza oven and trying to breathe. And so we had a car that didn't have air conditioning, so we would leave the windows down. And we went and we parked on the wrong side of the street in front of our friend's house. Back then, it wasn't a big deal. You'd get a ticket now, but back then it wasn't a big deal. So we went in and we visited, and we came out at the end of our visit, and it was the darkest part of twilight where you'd need the car headlights on to drive. And we walked down the sidewalk. Our friends saw us to the car. We waved goodbye, and they made sure we got in the car, and they closed the door. My mother started the car, and falling down from the sky in slow motion, very, very slow, was this 5-pointed star, a pentagram. Now, we know stars aren't pentagrams. Our sun is a star. It's a round orb of gas. But this was a 5-pointed pentagram about as big as the side of a house and about a foot thick. And it wasn't bulbous, it was flat, but about a foot thick. And it fell down very, very slowly. It was bright yellow and trailing this little phosphorescent glow behind it, kind of like a comet trail or whatever, which kind of vanished as it fell. And again, all this in very, very slow motion. And it was falling into this vacant lot that was across the street from our friend's house. And my mother absolutely panicked. And she was like, John, jump in the back seat, roll up the car windows, lock the doors. And I was like, let's get out and see this thing. Let's go see what this thing is.
Get out, Mom.
You know, let's go find out what this is. And she was absolutely panicked. So she started to drive off. And I said, wait a minute. If this thing goes down in that vacant lot, and this is West Texas in the summer, everything's bone dry. I said, won't it set things on fire? And wouldn't our friend's house be in danger? Shouldn't we wait and see what happens? And she said, well, yeah, I guess okay. So it fell down in slow motion into this field among the trees and the dry grass and everything that was there. And then just kind of slowly faded in upon itself and winked out and darkness. And that was it. And she sped off like a bat out of hell. And of course, I peppered her with questions that she could never answer. And so that was one of the most dramatic things, star-wise, that I saw when I was a young kid. And then on through my life, I have seen very bizarre, very strange, dramatic things and the stars. And bacon pot. Neighbor's lot, not a bacon pot. Why would a star
Bacon pot, neighbor's lot.
Star falling into a bacon pot.
There's another T-shirt one right there.
Yeah,
bacon
there's
pot.
a T-shirt right there. Bacon pot.
Bacon pot.
So is my accent that bad? I know I'm from West Texas, but so anyways, as the years progress, I begin to see all these bizarre things happening in the sky, and specifically with stars. And I was married to my second wife, and we had a balcony that I was sitting out on. And I was sitting out there one night, and I looked up, and there was a star that was stationary, and it was way up. It was among the stars. It was a star, or at least among the stars, and it turned red, and then it became white again, and then it turned red, and it became white again. So I waved at it, and when I did, it blinked back at me several times. And I waved at it again, and it blinked back at me several times. And my wife came out on the balcony, and she said, what are you doing? Because she saw me waving up at the sky. And I said, watch this, come here. I said, see that star up there? She said, which one? I said, watch. And I waved at it, and it blinked back at me several times. And I said, that one. I said, did you see it? And she's like, yeah. And I said, watch. And I waved again. When I waved, it blinked at me several times. And she goes, I'm going back in the house. so that was when I began to understand that there were these beings, intelligences, whatever, either inherent in the stars, utilizing the stars, disguised as stars, whatever. And that's continued on throughout my life. And then I had, and I write about this in my book, the first book, the Writing with Ghost Angels and the Spirits of the Dead. I write about this story in there. And the culmination of this story was I came home at night after a long day's ride, and I was sitting out on my lanai at night, looking up at the stars, listening to music, and there was this one star that caught my attention, and it kind of flared or kind of became bright a little bit. And when it did, it came down toward me rapidly and then split into two, and they were just at the right distance. It looked like eyes looking at me. And I looked around everything else, make sure I didn't have double vision or anything, hadn't had a stroke or something. Everything else was fine. Everything else was great. And I looked back up at these stars, and they rejoined, and zoom, went back up into the sky and went back up there. So we have to understand that we have all of these things out there that we have the potential to communicate with, and that we may look at a star and we think it's just a star, and it may not be. It may be something else. It may be an intelligence. It may be a vehicle for an intelligence. It may be something of that nature. So we need to understand these things.
Right. This is okay. So like on the 11th of December, going out with my youngest late at night, go to Publix to get some stuff, come back, see a fleet of UFOs. I videotape as much as I could.
Yeah.
Trying to discern, because I do investigate it, you know, the brightness and the thickness or the size, the magnitude of the red on the craft kind of went with like a drone, but this was not a drone,
right,
because the craft then expanded and then broke into two.
Right.
So I had a fleet, and I was like, I'm like, you know, I have video of this.
Mm-hmm.
This was December 29th, just this December.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play the video for you. This flew over my house right now.
What direction is that? Is that north, south?
So that is heading from, it's heading from west to south right now.
I was going to say, if it was in the northern direction, about that time SpaceX launched.
That's not SpaceX.
That's not SpaceX. That has nothing to do with SpaceX.
Nope.
Because the Falcon Heavy is a huge bright ball.
This wasn't a ball.
It would have a fire trail.
And
that's
I'm moving right now.
Not a rocket or a missile.
No, this.
Because it would be going in relation
Here's
to
my eyewitness right there.
Going.
It's back. So we had all these kids in the house because my youngest was having a sleepover, and this the shape of it and everything was, I mean, it was mint perfect. What was taking place with this craft, and it's not that long a video, so I'm gonna let it play out. It's about 2 minutes. I literally got it. I went to 4K, started filming. I wish I had a better camera. I'm using the the iPhone crap.
I know. I need to get a Galaxy.
Well, I'm actually getting I have an old Galaxy. I'm gonna use it because they do make a night shot that's a lot better. Okay.
Get you a good 35 millimeter with a good zoom lens.
Well, you know what? I have a Sony A6.
There you go.
But it's in my, I was out in the lanai. I don't carry it with me.
You know, it was like Kelsey says, like even binoculars would have helped in that situation. I'm like, well, yeah, but it's one of those you use what you have at the time.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
You know.
And I always tell people, I say, look,
he keeps he needs to get he gets the same thing. He has a camera set up because he keeps catching them out on his porch. It's like you need to just have the whole rig ready to roll.
It's really interesting because I have those Ring cameras, right? And they are set up to constantly record.
Right.
It just disappears. It it goes.
You know, here in Florida, we have a ton of UFOs, and I've seen so many since I've been here, and some of the most.
And it's ramped up recently. It really is ramped up dramatically.
Yeah. And I think, the of everything that we, again, the so-called UFO experts has become a cottage industry, really.
Yeah.
And they're not really giving us any useful information. It's like I talked to Kathleen Martin, who used to work with Stanton Friedman when he was alive. And I spoke with her and talked with her for about an hour or two. And I told her my UFO experiences, my theories, and so on and so forth. And I think she's probably one of the most knowledgeable UFO researchers and experts in the field. And she echoed what I had thought all along, because I asked her, I said, Kathleen, what's going on? What do you know about this? And she said, nobody knows. We know it's real. We know it's happening. We don't know their motivations. We don't know all of who and what it is and why. We just don't know. We don't have the answers. And I was so glad to hear her say that, because there are so many people in this cottage industry that go to all these conferences and do all these presentations, and they know this and they know that and blah, blah, blah. They don't know. Nobody knows.
And every presentation I've done, when I do active intelligent encounters, also known as CE5s, where we try to bring in craft, and I have brought in craft just about every time. It depends on the intention of the audience, and if one person's being an a-hole, they will stay out of the frame.
Right.
And they won't come closer. But if everybody's into it, we've had craft appear over our heads, ginormous.
Yeah.
Look, I've been doing this for 40 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
And I still have more questions. It never ends with the questions.
I tell people, I say, look, I've read professionally for over 50 years, done hundreds of paranormal investigations, had over 1,000 paranormal manifestations in my life. I have more questions than answers.
Right. You know? And, I mean, there are people that are in this world today that definitely have an idea really what's going on. They're in contact with a select great group of a race of individuals.
Yeah.
They have old technology, and that's the dark deep state and all that other stuff.
Right.
But there's so many different extraterrestrial, ultra-terrestrial, interdimensional beings.
Right.
You're talking a couple hundred, more than a couple hundred.
Oh, sure.
And every one of them has their own intentions for what they want to do.
Their own agenda. And then we have to understand our government has to know. Our government has to know. And that's why we have to push for disclosure. It's like, it's so ridiculous, that our government tells us these things. Oh, well, we don't know.
They're not going to.
The government has to know. And we need that disclosure, because we, as individual human beings on this planet, need to know what's going on and why and how it affects our life, how it's going to affect our lives, how it's going to affect our futures, what we can ascertain and get out of this. Because I'll tell you one thing, of all the UFO experiences that I have had, and I have had probably over 10 at this stage of the game, sometimes witnessed by other people in broad daylight. And for all of that, for being a psychic, for having all these communications with the other side, all these experiences with nature spirits and guardian angels, and on and on and on and on and on, you would think, okay, this guy's open, this guy's receptive, he has a gift. Let's communicate with this guy. Let's communicate our intent. Let's do this. Let's do that. I haven't gotten anything. And I've tried. I've tried. And
they don't want to talk to you. No. Don't talk to this one, because he's going to
talk to this one. Yeah.
Not to do it. Let's go with the guy that over there. Yeah, the one licking the lamppost. That's the one we want.
That's the one we want. So, it's like, man, it's a strange deal.
Yeah, I'm getting hammered because I don't have my my setup outside. I just don't. I mean,
it's because you rely on an iPhone. They suck at filming at night.
No, I'm actually going, because I have to get an alternative number for my old my Optimum stuff. I want to keep the accounts, so I'm going to pick up a Samsung, because you can pick those up inexpensively, and they always take great night shots. I mean,
I have a Samsung, and it sucks.
This, I don't know. The photos are great. The phone stuff is terrible. This on the iPhone is great because it uses LiDAR. So if I'm on an investigation, Bigfoot, and I come across tracks or prints, I can actually take a 3D image, a LiDAR image of these things, and I can print them right out. anywhere.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, there's a big difference there. Would I love to have, what happens every time you get rid of the camera or the crew or the TV crew? I mean, I was just being interviewed with News 7 out of Germany, 10 minutes prior to this, ginormous craft that was a couple acres wide above the head of 130, 40 people.
Right.
It just happens that way,
Yeah, it does. And I tell people, I say, look, if you want to get really, really good shots, get a good 35 millimeter digital camera and a good zoom lens. Forget the phone, get away with the phone, and really, really do that. And I have to, look, I'm going to be 70 for Christ's sakes in a few months. I've had numerous health issues since I was young that I've had to use spiritual healing techniques just to keep myself going. And so I don't get out as much. I don't have the mobility that I once did to get out and take the photographs and things that I did. But I want to start focusing on that and maybe trying to do that myself and get out and try and get, some good photographs with a good camera. Yeah, there you go. There you go. And
Kayla, there you go. That's what. Yeah, we're
these three using
voyeurism.
Windows. Am I right? Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. Binoculars, baby.
You see all the UFOs you want to looking in those windows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
a lot of moons.
That's one thing that I want to do. And again, I'm trying to get to the point. I'm so damn busy. I read for a worldwide clientele still. I'm working on these books. Everything else I do. So I'm so busy, and I'm trying to get to where I get all of these things up on a website where people can see. I've got really great EVP. I've got really great spirit photographs. I'm trying to get all that up, but it takes, I build my own pages, my own website, and I'm not good at coding, so it takes me a while.
Yeah, no.
It's a lot of effort to try to get up there, but I'm so busy, but I hope that I'll get that up there at some point. But in the meantime, read my books, folks. I mean, go to johnrussellauthor.com, johnrussellauthor.com. Get the books, read the books, because you're going to get information that you haven't gotten in other paranormal literature. And it's going to be something that sets you in a good direction, sets you in the right direction, gives you some good solid foundation to interact with the other side to improve your life. And again, my latest book, 20 Ways to Increase Your Psychic Abilities, that's going to be a help to you. You can use that without worry. You're not going to attract a demon. You're not going to open up a portal to hell. You're not going to do that. Don't listen to that nonsense, because it's not true. I've got my 4th book finished. It's going to come out sometime early this year. I'm writing on my 5th. I'm about halfway through that. More in the pipeline. So lots more good things to come. So stay tuned. You can go to Amazon.com, follow my author page there. My books are available at Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, all the online booksellers. They're all there. You can get them anywhere. And it'd help if you'd pick them up, because then I can have fries with my hamburger.
Yep. And you know what? If we talked about, I like autograph books.
Yeah.
I just like, if it's personalized or not personal. And a lot of my friends in the business, I always just ask them, hey, can I get an autograph book?
Right.
And they do, and you can, if you contact John, he will arrange so that.
Yeah, you can buy an autograph copy from me. Absolutely. Yep. You can do that.
And you can get, his John Hancock, technically.
Yeah. And Craig, if you throw up johnrussellauthor.com, you'll see there there's links to the book. I've got for all of my books, I have gotten endorsements from Uri Geller, Phyllis Galdi, publisher of Fate magazine, Mike Ricksecker, author, filmmaker. You see him all the time on Ancient Aliens, the History Channel, all that. I've gotten endorsements from all of these people. I've gotten tons of great reviews from readers. I've got great editorial reviews. All that's on my author website, which is johnrussellauthor.com. And each book has a link there to go to its own page, and you can see all those endorsements. You can see all the reviews, so on and so forth, links to order that. So that's all there.
Awesome. That is great.
So, yeah, definitely go do that. And then Yeah, just really appreciate you coming back on, man.
Hey, I enjoyed it, man. We always have a good time. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun, and
Yep.
we still have more to talk about.
Well, and like I said, Mark was talking about too. If you ever wanted to see something that interesting, just go watch part of when we had Kathleen Martin on the show.
Oh yeah,
That one was an epic one because
yeah.
it ended up
she's a
with.
great interview. She's a great
Well,
interviewer.
I had
and a
her
great
on there
person.
and lost the internet at my house.
Yeah.
So I had to go over to a neighbor's house to use it, and they weren't home. So I was out on the back patio. So you could just watch the light level just starting to disappear. And I just start folding away into the oblivion. You don't even see me anymore on the camera. The screen goes to black, and then Disney's fireworks start lighting off behind me. So it was.
Yeah,
That
there
was,
you go. There you go.
Yeah, it was. That was.
Yeah,
I need to have her back on just so we can have a better experience.
Absolutely. And next time I get back with you guys, I'll have to tell you about the pets that came back in the flesh to visit me from the dead.
Well, mine comes back all the time, man, and he leaves his hair. That's his calling card. I will walk around and I'll get that white hair stuck in my foot, and I'll be like, you know what?
There he is.
Yep,
There he
I
is.
know he's there.
So got a lot of
Derek, thanks for dropping in, man. Yeah, it's like definitely watch this on replay. You'll like it.
Yes.
Guys, I appreciate it. We've had a good time, and we'll do it again, man. We'll do it again. Appreciate all the listeners. Happy New Year, everybody. Pick up the book. Give the books a try. It's going to help you. It's going to change your life.
Yes.
And,
yeah, definitely. I've read that the 20. Yeah, for
20
the
ways
psychic.
to increase your psychic abilities. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can, like I said, you can go to johnrussell.net, johnrussellauthor.net. You can also go to Amazon.
johnrussellauthor.com.
johnrussellauthor.com. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
johnrussellauthor.com. Let's see if Craig read that 20 steps to take. How many fingers am I holding up, Greg?
Always have a funny thing. You know, people always test psychics. What color am I thinking of? And I go, 4.
Yeah.
4.
Or if they ask, what number am I thinking of?
Red.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I know, because you always get the tripped up. It's like, if you truly are, how many fingers am I holding up behind my back right now?
Really.
You know, come on. If you really are a psychic, you should be able to answer this question right now.
Yeah, the middle one. But folks, if you can take away anything from what we've said tonight, please understand that interaction with the other side is not like what you see on the ghost hunting shows on TV. It's not what you've been told. It's not this danger, the portals, the attachment. It's not that. You know, the people that do that, they make a lot of money by being on TV and scaring you to death. And it's not that. And my mission in life, my entire life, has been to help people, to guide people, to connect them in a positive way with the other side so they can get their own information and guidance and protection from the guardian angels, so on and so forth. So please, at least open up your mind to the possibility that, hey, maybe there isn't a demon behind every bush waiting to get me. And maybe I can really do something here in a safe manner and improve my life and be okay.
Yep. Well, you know, that's the thing. I honestly think if you believe, like it said, the devil and everything, I'm pretty sure the devil doesn't have time to mess with, Craig over here here in Central Florida. I'm pretty sure I'm not high on the priority list. So I'm pretty sure I don't have the spawn of Satan, messing with me in my kitchen.
And here's Bugsy, my little helper.
Yes. If you follow on Facebook, you'll see lots of photos of him, So happy New Year to you, sir. Like I said, I'll reach out to you. We'll get you, see about getting you scheduled down the road here, so that way we can, like I said, have that discussion on that one too. Because
absolutely. Thanks, guys. Enjoyed it so much. Thanks to all the listeners, and we'll do it again. God bless.
All right, Bugsy. All right, have a good night.
Good night.
All right, everybody. Once again, brought to you by Radio. Ron's been in the chat too, so just go over to Mixler.com. Set up your account there, so that way you follow them. It's appreciate his being a sponsor. I said, everybody, just thanks for watching. We're rebroadcast every Wednesday at 11 on Radio. We do have, you can go to threebeardspodcast.com. You can merchandise store there. Malin, thanks for the stars. You guys that really appreciate subscribing. That really helps as well. I said that just helps fun. It helps feed a starving beard. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. Yeah. it's one of those that helps keeps the lights on in the studio. It's so appreciate that, everybody. So
maybe we can
have a
get
great
that.
night.
Yeah.
Remember, next week we've got Ashley Hilt. She's going to be on one of the Women in Paranormal. We're going to be talking with her, and then next following week after that we have Katie Turner. She's going to be back on. So
She's going to be back.
So back to back women in the paranormal field. So January, January the women are taking over. Yeah. So we got that for the guests. So that's look forward to those. So everybody, thanks again. Take care. So John, what do you want? What do you want to see on your way out? Do you want abducted cows?
Abducted cows, definitely.
Either that, or we've also got our take on got our takes on it, puts lotion on the skin, or gets the hose again, right? Featuring myself. so that's your
name of the abducted cows.
The abducted cows. All right, everybody, have a great night.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Yeah.